Veronica Sterling had learned to navigate boardrooms full of skeptical investors, negotiate billion-dollar mergers, and command respect in an industry dominated by men. But standing in the grand ballroom of the Riverside Hotel on Christmas Eve, watching her twin daughters sit alone at a corner table while other children played, she felt utterly powerless. At 39, Veronica had built Sterling Pharmaceuticals into one of the most successful companies in the Northeast. She'd done it mostly on her own, after her husband decided that having deaf children wasn't part of his life plan and left when the girls were barely 2 years old. 7 years later, Veronica had proven she could handle anything life threw at her, except this: watching her daughters, bright, loving, wonderful girls, be invisible at yet another social gathering. Harper and Madison, 7 years old and identical in their navy blue dresses with silver embellishments, sat at their table signing to each other, creating their own little world because the one around them had no room for them. The company Christmas party was in full swing, children running and laughing, parents mingling with champagne glasses, everyone celebrating. But no one seemed to notice the two girls speaking, a language most people in the room couldn't understand. Veronica had hired interpreters for adult company events, but this was supposed to be casual, fun, a party for families. She'd hoped that maybe, just this once, it would be different, that other children would find ways to include Harper and Madison, that her daughters wouldn't spend another event on the sidelines. She'd been wrong. Veronica was about to go to them, to sit with her girls and be their world, since the rest of the party wouldn't make room for them, when she noticed something that made her stop in her tracks. A man was walking toward her daughter's table. He was tall, maybe in his early 40s, with dark hair and a kind face, wearing a well-tailored navy suit. But what caught Veronica's attention was the way he moved, purposefully, directly toward the twins, not passing by but approaching them specifically. She watched, her breath caught in her throat, as the man reached their table and crouched down to the girl's level. And then he did something that made Veronica's heart skip a beat. He started signing. His hands moved with fluent confidence, and even from across the room, Veronica could see her daughters' faces light up with surprise and delight. Harper, always the more outgoing twin, responded immediately, her hands flying in animated conversation. Madison, quieter but equally expressive, smiled, that rare, genuine smile she saved for moments when she felt truly seen. Veronica moved closer, needing to understand what was happening. "I saw you two sitting over here," the man was signing, "and I thought you might like some company. I'm Connor. What are your names?" "I'm Harper." Her daughter signed enthusiastically. "This is my sister Madison." "We're twins." "I can see that," Connor signed back with a warm smile. "You're both wearing beautiful dresses. Very elegant." Madison, emboldened by someone who actually spoke her language, signed shyly. "Do you really know sign language?" "Most people don't." "I really do," Connor confirmed. "My daughter Lily, she's deaf too. She's 8, just a little older than you. She's around here somewhere, probably getting cookies." He glanced around, then back at the twins. "Would you like to meet her?" Both girls nodded vigorously. Connor stood and gestured to someone across the room. A moment later, a girl with light brown hair in a green velvet dress came bounding over, a cookie in each hand. When she saw the twins, her face broke into a delighted grin. "Dad, they know sign!" Lily signed, her excitement evident even with cookies in her hands. "I know," Connor signed back. "I thought you might want to make some new friends." What happened next made Veronica's eyes fill with tears. The three girls immediately launched into rapid-fire conversation in sign language, giggling and gesturing, talking about school and favorite colors, and whether chocolate or vanilla was better. Within minutes, they'd moved to the dance floor, creating their own kind of dancing that had nothing to do with hearing the music and everything to do with feeling the vibrations and moving together. Veronica found herself standing beside Connor, both of them watching their daughters with the particular joy that comes from seeing your child finally included. "Finally happy?" "Thank you," Veronica said quietly, then signed it as well. "You have no idea what this means to them, to me." Connor turned to her, and Veronica noticed his eyes were kind, understanding. "I think I do," he said, signing as he spoke, something Veronica appreciated, as it had become her habit too. Lily's been the only deaf child at too many events. I know what it's like to watch your kid be left out. You're fluent in ASL, Veronica observed. That's rare for a hearing parent. I made a choice when Lily was diagnosed at 18 months old, Connor explained. Her mother and I could either make Lily adapt to our world, or we could adapt to hers. It seemed like an easy choice to me. His expression darkened slightly. My ex-wife disagreed. She wanted to focus only on speech therapy, on making Lily normal. We divorced when Lily was 3. I'm sorry, Veronica said. Don't be. Lily and I are better off. We have our own world, and we invite in the people who are willing to learn the language. He smiled at Veronica. I'm Connor Davis, by the way. I work in your IT department. Started about 6 months ago. Veronica felt embarrassed that she didn't know him. Sterling Pharmaceuticals employed over 300 people, but she prided herself on knowing her team. I'm Veronica Sterling, Connor finished, his smile turning slightly amused. I know. You're the CEO. And from what I've observed in the last 5 minutes, an excellent mother who's raised 2 wonderful daughters. They stood together watching the girls, and Veronica found herself relaxing in a way she rarely did at company events. Connor had an easy presence, comfortable in silence, content to simply exist in the moment. They're so happy, Veronica said, watching Harper teach Lily a complicated hand-clapping game, all done in sign. They needed this, Connor agreed. All 3 of them. Connection with someone who gets it, who doesn't make them work so hard to be understood. Over the next hour, Veronica and Connor talked while keeping an eye on their daughters. She learned that he was a single father, that he'd moved to the area specifically for this job, because Sterling Pharmaceuticals had a reputation for being disability-friendly. He'd been raising Lily alone for 5 years, learning as he went, making mistakes and celebrating victories. The hardest part, Connor admitted, is watching her be lonely. Lily's amazing, funny, smart, creative. But she spends so much time alone because other kids don't know how to talk to her, and their parents don't make the effort to learn. Harper and Madison deal with the same thing, Veronica said. I've tried everything. Special programs, inclusive schools, social groups. But at the end of the day, we live in a hearing world, and my daughters speak a different language. It's isolating. Connor nodded. For them and for us, single parenting is lonely enough. Single parenting a deaf child makes you feel like you're on an island sometimes. Yes, Veronica breathed, relieved to have someone who understood. Exactly that. As the party wound down, Harper and Madison begged Veronica to invite Lily over for a play date. Lily, in turn, begged Connor. The 2 adults exchanged numbers, ostensibly for arranging the play date, but Veronica found herself hoping it might lead to more than that. The play date happened the following Saturday. Connor brought Lily to Veronica's home, a sprawling house in an upscale neighborhood that suddenly felt more like a home than it had in years, filled with the silent laughter and stomping feet of 3 girls, communicating in sign language. While the girls played, Veronica and Connor sat in the living room with coffee, continuing conversations that felt startlingly easy and comfortable. Can I ask you something? Veronica said. You could work anywhere. You have impressive credentials. Why Sterling Pharmaceuticals? Connor smiled. Honestly, because I researched your company. I found out that you have deaf daughters that you've implemented. Accessibility measures most companies don't think about that you actually walk the walk when it comes to inclusion. I thought if I was going to work somewhere, it should be a place run by someone who understands. Veronica felt warmth spread through her chest. I try. I don't always succeed, but I try. That's all any of us can do. Over the following months, the playdates became a regular occurrence. Harper, Madison, and Lily became inseparable, their friendship a source of joy for all 3 girls. And slowly, carefully, Veronica and Connor built something too, a friendship that gradually deepened into something more. Connor understood things about Veronica's life that no one else did. He knew the exhaustion of constantly translating, constantly advocating, constantly explaining. He knew the fierce protectiveness that came with watching your child navigate a world that wasn't built for them. He knew the joy of small victories, a new friend who learned a few signs, a teacher who actually made an effort, a moment of true inclusion. But he also saw Veronica as more than just a mother, more than just a CEO. He saw the woman underneath, funny, vulnerable, carrying the weight of so much responsibility with grace but also with weariness. You don't always have to be strong. Connor told her one evening after the girls had fallen asleep during a movie, "You're allowed to be tired. You're allowed to need help." "I've been doing this alone for so long," Veronica admitted. "I don't know how to need help." "Maybe you could learn," Connor suggested gently. "With the right person." 6 months after that Christmas party, Connor and the girls planned a surprise for Veronica. They took her to the park where she and the twins often walked, to a spot overlooking the river. And there, with his daughter and her daughters all signing enthusiastically, Connor asked Veronica to marry him. He signed the proposal first, for the girls to see and understand. Then he said it aloud, his voice thick with emotion. "You've shown me what partnership looks like. Not just someone to share the good times with, but someone who understands the challenges, who's willing to walk through them together. Will you marry me?" Veronica looked at this man who'd learned an entire language for his daughter, who'd made room in his heart for her girls, who saw her fully and loved her anyway. She looked at the 3 girls bouncing with excitement. Already a family in everything but name. "Yes," she signed and said. "Yes, absolutely yes." The wedding was intimate, held in a garden with an interpreter for the ceremony, so everyone present could understand. Whether they spoke with their hands or their voices, Harper, Madison, and Lily served as bridesmaids, wearing coordinated dresses and stealing the show. With their signed performance during the reception, "I promise to honor both our languages," Veronica said in her vows, signing as she spoke. "To build a home where our girls never feel like they have to choose between 2 worlds, because we'll create a world that embraces both." "I promise to share the weight of responsibility," Connor signed and said. "To remind you that you don't have to carry everything alone anymore, and to be grateful every day that our daughters brought us together." That evening, as the celebration continued, and the 3 girls danced their own way to music, they couldn't hear but could feel. Veronica found Connor watching their daughters with that familiar expression of fierce love and pride. "What are you thinking?" she asked. Connor turned to her, taking her hand. "I'm thinking about that Christmas party. About how I almost didn't go because I was tired, because I thought it would just be another event where Lily felt left out. But something made me change my mind. I'm glad you did." "Me too. Because I found something I didn't even know I was looking for." He pulled Veronica close. "I found a partner who speaks my language, even when we're using our hands instead of our voices." Veronica rested her head on Connor's shoulder, watching their daughters, because that's what they were now. Their daughters, a family blended not by blood but by understanding, patience and love deep enough to cross any language barrier. Sometimes, she thought, the most beautiful conversations happen without words. Sometimes the deepest connections form between people who understand what it means to live between 2 worlds, to love someone who experiences life differently, to build bridges instead of demanding that others cross chasms alone. And sometimes, the best thing you can do is learn a new language, not because you have to, but because the person you love speaks it, and you want to understand every word they have to say. Connor had seen her daughters when they were invisible to everyone else. He'd walked across a crowded ballroom and signed hello, and in doing so, had changed all their lives. All it took was someone willing to learn, someone willing to see, someone willing to speak the language of the heart, whether with words or hands or simply with presence. And that, Veronica knew, was the only language that